Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for February 11th. I'm your host, Taryn Armstrong, and I am just by myself today because there's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot here to talk about in terms of the feeds, but I am still here, and I am going to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother Celebrity 2 live feeds. I promise you, there just wasn't a whole lot that actually happened, so just be prepared for that. But I am here by myself. Something else that I want to do for you today is to go over a little bit of Ricky's game this season. That Ricky is the only person that we know for sure is going to be in the Final Four because the veto has not been played yet. So I'm going to go over Ricky's game over the course of the season. It's only 3 weeks long. Should be a quick little retrospective of Ricky's game. Thought that would be interesting. Also thought that I wouldn't want to subject anyone else to have to do this kind of research because game in quotation marks. But let me update you on what happened yesterday. They got messages from home. That's what happened. End of story, basically. They got videos from home. Dina did not get a video from Lindsay Lohan. She got a video from Allie, which I feel bad even just saying it that way because I'm sure that happens a lot with Allie. Like, oh, not Lindsay, Allie? Oh. But I figured people would be wondering if it was from Lindsay, and no, it wasn't. That's basically it. They showed it on the feeds, which was nice. After all of the not nice things that have been happening in regards to the feeds. So you can check it out. The clip is out there. I don't know if maybe they are not planning on showing it in the finale or in the episode, either episode, which is why they had it in the feeds. Maybe, who knows? But otherwise, we're just going to see it on the episode, so you don't necessarily need to view the clip. Anyway, that happened. That was really the main event of the day. Let me tell you, there is nothing happening on these feeds. Tom Green left the house, and it's like crickets. Nothing is going on. I literally turned the feeds on at one point, and it was 4 feeds on Ricky in the gym doing some kind of yoga pose, but his face was just smushed into the floor, and his butt was up, and he's just kneeling, face smushed into the floor, and it was just 4 feeds on that, silence, and I was like, yeah, that's about what's happening on the feeds. That's about it. No veto was played. I actually knew that the veto was going to be played on Monday today, and I still got lost yesterday with my days, and I was just like, it surely is going to happen today, but no, it did not happen yesterday. It's going to happen today. It's going to happen today. So we'll finally find out who won the veto at some point today, and then we'll see what's going to happen with it after that. The only really other conversation thing that happened is that we got more confirmation from Lolo that she is concerned about Ricky beating her in the end. I think decent odds at this point that Lolo does take Tamar to the final 2, even though she still refuses to give any kind of like very solid promise that she will do it. Lolo really thinking that Ricky has this thing in the bag. You know, he's so well spoken. He's so zen. How could he not win? So that's happening. Ricky's chances of getting to the final 2 may be diminishing, although Lolo may not even be there by the final 4 if the veto plays out in a certain way. So that's, again, really all that's going on in the house. We just have to wait until the veto plays out. If Candy or Dina win, we could see Lolo leave. If Tamar wins, who knows what she would do with it. Ricky might not even try to win. Who knows? So some interesting stuff going on there, but other than that, it's really it. So unless you guys have some questions for me, since it's just us, you know, no other parties to interfere, you can ask me some questions in the chat here. I've got the YouTube chat open, and I can answer any questions that you might have for me. But in the meantime, I want to talk about Ricky, because Ricky, I do think, has played the best conventional game of Big Brother of anyone in the house. If this was regular Big Brother, unsequestered jury, we're just talking about like just playing the game, I do think that Ricky has played the best. He's played the most strategically. He's made some massive mistakes. I wouldn't call him a good player, but I wouldn't call anybody in the house a good player. He's probably the best of the people that we have in terms of conventional, strategic, positioning Big Brother play. And really, it all starts with week 1. Where Ricky comes into this game, he's underestimated by, I think, a lot of people in terms of how we viewed him going in. A lot of people were like, how's he going to function without his marijuana? He's talking about, I'm watching videos of him where he's explaining that he has like extreme social anxiety. And I'm like, well, that's not a good quality to have in a Big Brother house. And so he goes into the house and he goes into this room, this bedroom with 3 other women. Natalie, Lolo, and Tamar. And that's going to prove to be a good choice there for Ricky. He clearly wants to align with women. I saw somebody on Reddit talk about, there was a video, an interview with him where he talks about like really getting along with women a lot more than he does with guys. And I think this really shows in his style of gameplay. He wanted to align with women very, very clearly. And so the unfortunate thing for him is that he is not included in Jonathan's big initial alliance that he creates. Ricky is on the outside. And this, I think, is something that a lot of like really great players have to go through, and something that I usually admire in a player. I think to somebody like Vanessa, who is on the outs of the massive alliance at the start of the game, and then weasels her way in, shatters it apart, and then picks up the pieces. That's basically what Ricky does this week. He certainly gets some help with Lolo's volatility because there's some tension between the Lolo segment and the Ryan Jonathan segment of the house. And so he capitalizes on that. He bonds with Natalie. He makes it his goal to cause a little chaos, align with the women of the house, and because of that tension that he picks up on, he wins the veto. He's approached by Ryan and Jonathan, who trust him enough to offer him a proposal. A proposal of, hey, what if you use the veto and then we backdoored Lolo? And Ricky says, that's an interesting idea. Let me think on it. And then he ran to Lolo and he said, hey, Lolo, guess what Ryan's going to do? Which really just puts the nail in the coffin of this alliance and cements Ricky as a trusted ally of these 2 women and really these 3 women, with Tamar, who was with them still at the time. And so this is Ricky's best move of the game. It's probably the best move of the game, period. Maybe Candy getting Natalie out is up there as well. But really, of the strategy we saw this season, this was really probably the best. So I'll pause there and see if we have any questions here. Do you think the girls already formed the bedroom alliance before Ryan pitched for Ricky to win the veto? Is that why Ricky told on him? Yeah, I do. I think that Ricky saw that he needed to break this group up, and that he wanted to get in with them, and that's why we saw him on the episode like, hey, I'm gonna stir the pot a little bit. I'm really gonna throw some wrenches into the works. Like I said, it really was the best move of the season. At this point, we're all kind of thinking, whoa, Ricky, look at that. Best player in the game. Oh my. And he really was at the time. And still might be, but there's some issues. So Ricky uses this information. It works shockingly well. The women fully trust him. He gets 0 blood on his hands. He has no blame for this. Ricky is really looking incredibly solid at this point. The women are starting to align with Tom and Kato. He is totally fine. He's protected by the women. He's got Jonathan on his way out the door, and everything's looking amazing. The veto is used on Tom, and Ricky continues, and this is very deliberate by Ricky. After the veto is used on Tom, and Joey goes up in Tom's place, Ricky says to Lolo, hey, Ryan really wanted to put you up on the block as a replacement, but don't worry. I stopped him. I put an end to it. I told him no, he shouldn't do that. Ricky really, he didn't stop him. We know this. But Ricky took credit for it. This is all symptoms of a good player here. And it's right from the gate. Very, very early. Again, we were very impressed with Ricky at this point. He's also building a good relationship with Candy, who seems like somebody that he might be able to use in the future. Again, all things looking up for Ricky. However, things get a little shaky with Tamar because she sees, or she thinks she sees, Ricky go into a room with Candy. That's not okay. It's not okay. You can't go into rooms with Candy. This did not happen. We can confirm it. The feeds. This did not happen. He did not go into a room with Candy. He says that he did not go into a room with Candy, but Tamar does not believe him. She says that he's lying on her. And this causes some serious damage to the relationship, at least in the short term. And Tamar's really, she's never going to forgive him for this imaginary slight. So that's not good for Ricky. And then we finally see the one, I think, the big flaw in Ricky's game. If we're saying this was the best time of his game, it was also the worst time of his game. And that is he's a bad day. You know, he doesn't have his drugs, I guess, maybe, and he's not into being nice. And Tom just rubs him the wrong way for whatever reason. Tom is having a conversation with Ricky about how people change when the cameras come on, and I think Ricky was specifically referring to Tamar when he talked about this because he kind of had a conversation with her about it, and I think that she kind of like, when the cameras went on, she kind of was like, whoa, now I'm crazy. And so Ricky's kind of having a conversation about this, and Tom is like, yeah, of course people change. I changed, you changed, Ricky. And Ricky's like, I didn't change. Like, they get into a little bit of a disagreement here, and Ricky kind of feels offended, and he kind of is rubbed the wrong way by Tom. And in the conversation, Ricky calls Tom a prick. Well, maybe deep down you're just a prick. He's trying to like get to the bottom of Tom's feelings, and it's just not working. And this tension between the two of them is never going to dissipate. Ricky's going to push it even further later on, where he tries to get Tom to do some stand-up right in front of them, and then calls Tom a coward for not being able to do it, or not wanting to talk about politics. And he also refuses to name an alliance with Tom and Kato. I think at the time he didn't realize how closely he would be working with them in the future. He had a kind of alliance with the three women, and he didn't want to get caught making an alliance, a separate alliance with Tom and Kato, which was what was proposed to him. So that's bad too. He does some damage here with his relationship with Tom. However, after he sort of realizes, oh, we're going to be working with these people, Lolo tells him, hey, we're trying to work with Lolo or with Tom and Kato moving forward. They're kind of mad at you right now. We need Jonathan out. Tom's kind of freaking out now that he's got a weird thing with you, and he kind of wants to save Jonathan. We need to put a stop to all this. So Ricky goes, oh, didn't realize. He goes to apologize. He tries to do some damage control. However, the damage is done. And that's really the catchphrase for Ricky's game. It's like the damage has been done. Tom Green is never gonna forget. He might forgive, but he doesn't forget. So that's interesting. Question from Tammy: do you think Kato's biggest mistake in the game was not listening to Tom about rolling with John and Ryan at this point? Yeah, definitely. At least one of the big mistakes. I mean. Oh boy. Callie, if you had to decide between another season of CBB US or BBOTT, what would you choose? Celebrity. I would definitely still choose Celebrity. I liked the novelty of having all the feeds stuff for OTT, but it wasn't a game. Even this is at least a game, right? So Jonathan is going to leave that week, and I am going to call these weeks, even though they're really eviction cycles, but eviction cycle is kind of a lame term to use, so I'm just going to call them weeks. Week 2! Kato wins the HOH. Ricky wants to backdoor Ryan. Ricky really wants to continue to get rid of these guys. He's all about working with the women, and he has a good position there. I think he would obviously like to take some kind of shot at Tom, realizing that Tom is a danger to his game, but Kato is the HOH, so Ryan is the target, and they want to backdoor him. Tom, unsurprisingly, is like, hey, that Ricky guy, he was kind of mean to me. Hey, Kato, can we backdoor him maybe? Can we target him? Kato says no. The women say no. The women are all about protecting Ricky. Kato is all about protecting Ricky. Kato really feels good about Ricky. Ricky has done a pretty good job with Kato in terms of making him feel very comfortable with him. Ricky, when he's not in a bad mood, is a very calming presence. And he does have a level of emotional intelligence that I think gets him in trouble when he is in a bad mood, because he pushes too hard on that button. But when he is not in a bad mood, he is able to be, hey, Kato, we're all just one big happy family. We're all working toward the same goal, and I think that everything's gonna be fine. And Kato's like, yeah, everything's gonna be fine. And so Ricky is able to keep himself safe this week, despite Tom really wanting to maybe make a move here on him. Ryan and Joey, in the meantime, they want to start a counter alliance. They need to do something. They're realizing they caught Tom and Kato and Lolo and Natalie in a meeting. And they're like, oh, those four are working together. We need to do something about this. And Tamar, who's still mad at Ricky, is like, hey, Ricky's involved too. And they're like, is he though? Because we feel like we can bring him in. He seems like a cool guy. And so if that counter alliance ever actually amounted to anything, they wanted to bring Ricky in. And so that's why I'm mentioning it. Ricky tries to do more damage control with Tom. Lolo lets him know some of the pain points that Tom is talking about when Tom says that Ricky's a big threat and that maybe they should target him. In particular, this idea of naming the alliance. So Ricky does go and he says to Tom, hey, you're a creative guy. I just want you to make the alliance name. And so it appeared that worked. Tom afterward was like, hey, Ricky's such a great guy. He said I was creative. He wants to work with us. I'm all about Ricky now. However, either he was faking that or things reverted back to how he previously felt, because Ryan will leave, Tom will win HOH, and Tom will now want to go back to his idea of, maybe we should target Ricky. Maybe we should. Ricky wants Joey gone this week, but he does not know at the time that he is the main course for Tom. Kato is going to push back on the idea for a while, but Lolo is going to be really sketchy. She's going to talk. She's going to have a long conversation with Joey. It really sketches Kato out, and so Kato finally goes, you know what? All right. We can get Ricky out. If that's what you want, Tom, we can do it. So Tom decides, all right, well, there's this weird power that was talked about. Why don't we do some murder mystery? And that can be kind of some cover for, like, hey, well, I need to target Ricky. What if he has the power? So Tom wants to do some murder mystery. This, of course, leads to the Tamar blow up of, you're threatening me. Why are you threatening me? Don't look like that on TV, Tom. That's not a good look. And, Ricky, by the way, advised him against murder mystery. He was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I feel like Tamar might blow up on you. And Tom was like, I can handle people blowing up on me. Oh, Tom, how naive you were. So Tom is eventually going to pitch this backdoor Ricky idea to the women, and the women will not hear of it. They would rather blow up the alliance before they turn on Ricky. Very, very loyal to Ricky. He did a very good job of getting their loyalty and keeping it. And so they're going to warn Ricky, who realizes at this point Tom needs to be gone as soon as possible. He needs to get Tom out. Tom is he's so set on him based on that prick conversation. And so Joey is going to go ahead and pitch an anti-Tom position here to the women and Ricky, who accept it and welcome him aboard. All right, Joey, you're against Tom? We're against Tom. Let's work together. And so in the meantime, Ricky does eventually cool Tom down. The women are so against this idea of targeting Ricky that he's kind of already like, do I want to piss the women off? Ricky goes to Tom and Kato and has some good conversations with them, and they're like, you know what? Fine, we're not going to do it. We backed off. We're not going to backdoor Ricky. We are all good. But again, the damage is done. The alliance is dead. And so after the veto is not used, with no communication between the two of them, the two parties, it's clear to Tom and Kato that the alliance has crumbled. And so they try to flip Joey, thinking that they think they have flipped Joey, until there's a big blow up the next morning, and then at that point they're gonna go to Candy. The blow up, of course, being the one where Lolo it starts calling Tom a piece of S. I did not give a language warning for this podcast. Everybody hates Tom. You're a terrible human being. You're a psycho. Ricky, production, make Kato leave my room. That's what was going on. With all of that fighting and blowing up, it became obvious that Joey was not on Team Tom. He was not exactly coming to their rescue or anything. And so Tom decides, hey, let's go to Candy. Let's see if she's all right. So Candy, of course, is on board. Hey, I'll go after the athletes. I'm down with that. And so they decide that they want to keep Candy. Candy needs Tamar. Candy is able to get Tamar because of personal reasons. Outside the house, they have a relationship, and Tamar doesn't feel like she can betray that relationship. So Candy is going to stay here against what No Licky wants. This is also Tamar is going to start calling Tom and Kato misogynist, pompous, assholes. It's not okay. Things are not okay. And so she is voting for Candy, who's working with them, but she is definitely still anti-Tom and Kato and very pro Ricky and the women. So that's going on. That's going on. So Joey is going to leave. Tamar's going to win the next HOH. Big celebration. She's so excited. I'm going to get those women haters out of this house. I'm going to put them both on the block. They're going to be gone. Ricky is going to try to do a little fist bump with Tom, a gesture of goodwill that nearly works, but it instead kind of turns into a conversation with Ricky, Tamar, and Tom, where Tamar is eventually going to demand an apology for Tom's threatening and bullying and inexcusable behavior, and Tom is going to be like, I feel like I didn't do that though. Like, maybe you interpreted it that way, and I'm sorry if you did, but sorry, not gonna work. Not gonna work. No peace can be made. Candy is going to feel a little bit betrayed by Ricky because, like I said, they had a decent relationship forming, and Ricky decided to go with Joey over Candy. That turns out to be a mistake because Candy stayed, and now she knows that Ricky was against her. Ricky does try to do some damage control here, but again, the damage is kind of done, and Candy knows that Ricky turned on her. Their prior relationship is still enough for Candy to know that Natalie is her main nemesis over Ricky, which is going to be extremely important for Ricky in the following weeks. So that's good to hang on to. And if Ricky ends up winning this game, I think that we can say that Ricky won instead of Natalie because of the work he did with Candy. And so that's important to note. So Ricky is going to agree with the women that Kato is the bigger threat between him and Tom. Kato has been winning some more conversations. Some more competitions. That's what happens when I start to read the chat for a second as I speak. Kato's been winning more competitions than Tom, so Kato is the bigger threat between the two of them. And Tom and Kato are going to start wondering, hey, one of us is probably leaving, but if we stay and we win HOH, maybe we should make a deal with Ricky. They still respect Ricky on some level. They feel like Ricky is kind of in charge of what's going on. And so they feel like if they can make a deal with Ricky, he might be the most amenable to it. And that might be the way forward if they win in HOH. So Kato is in fact evicted, and now it's just down to Tom. Lolo has a conversation with Tom prior to the next HOH competition. I need to stop saying conversation instead of competition. Might be a good thing. She has a conversation with Tom before the competition about Tom sort of explaining his feelings, why things happened the way that he did. He apologizes for any, misunderstandings that might have happened, so on and so forth. And Tom feels good about Lolo after this conversation. It's a very important conversation because I think it does influence Tom's motives heading into his next HOH. However, of course, unbeknownst to Tom, by the time Lolo gets back to Natalie, she is fully anti-Tom again, and she's using this conversation against him. But like I said, Tom doesn't know that. Tom is going to win the next HOH, and now that he feels good about Lolo, he wants to keep Lolo safe, and he's like, you know what? Lolo's the person I want to make a deal with, which means it's open season on Ricky. All aboard the Let's Get Out Ricky train. Let's go. Candy doesn't like it, though. Candy doesn't want to get on that train. Candy wants Natalie out. Like I said, she thinks that Natalie is a bigger threat to her, and she is. So Tom is going to have some one-on-one meetings. He has a meeting with Ricky. It's a tale of two proposals. One proposal being Ricky goes on the block. The other proposal being Ricky doesn't go on the block. Tom's proposal is going to win. It's going to win. He's the HOH. He decides. Candy really wants Natalie out, so she talks to Tom, and she convinces Tom to put up Natalie with Ricky instead of Lolo with Ricky, and that's what's going to happen. Natalie's going to go up on the block with Ricky. Ricky at this point decides, I'm done. He got me. I got nothing. I'll fall on my sword for you guys, you women. I'm just here to help you out. Oh, wait, Tom might use the veto on me. Never mind. Tom is going to win the veto. Crazy stuff. What's Tom going to do? Lolo's not sure because Lolo's talking about how Tom used her Olympic dreams to manipulate her. How dare he? What a terrible person. Tom tries to pitch an idea of using the veto with to Candy, and Candy doesn't like this. She wants Natalie gone. Tom wants Ricky gone. Candy goes to Tamar. She tells Tamar that Tom is thinking about using the veto. Tamar misinterprets what's happening. She thinks that she's the target. She goes and she blows up on Tom. How dare you, Tom? You gonna put me up? You're threatening people? You're such a bully. Tom's like, no, don't use that word. That's not even what's happening. But Tom, he's cowed. The feed's cut. Apparently this got even worse, and we didn't see it. Feed's cut. Tom goes. He hides up in his room. We know this story. Next day, veto ceremony. He hasn't talked to anyone. He decides he's going to use the veto on Ricky. Puts Lolo up in his place. Ricky is saved. He has new life in this game. He is not talking about falling on any swords anymore. He's like, oh, what a shame that I can't sacrifice myself for you guys. But now that I'm off the block, I want to keep Natalie because I have a better relationship with her, and I think that it's better for my game moving forward. But I'm going to pretend that I'm going to let you guys decide because I know that Natalie has a stronger will. So, how do we keep Natalie? He tries to keep Natalie with Tamar. He makes final two with Tamar. They do their best here, but Candy and Dina will not budge. They are not able to get Lolo to leave. So for the second time, the Zen Angry Cult is going to fail at an eviction vote, and Natalie is going to be the next person to leave the game. Ricky is, this is important to note, a lot more respectful toward Tom after the veto is used on him. He's like, you know what? He's a good guy. I'm still after him in the game, but we're cool. We're even. Important to note because Ricky's basically the only one of them that does this, for now at least. So Natalie leaves the house, and it's double eviction time. It's time for an eviction that's doubled. Tom's going to leave in the double eviction. We saw this all play out live on the show. That's basically all that happens. Ricky really wasn't involved too much there. Next week, week 7, probably. Something like that. Tamar's still mad at Tom. He deserved everything he had coming. He's the worst. Nobody talked to him outside of this house. I hate him. Again, Ricky standing up for Tom. Hey, let's chill. We don't need to talk about Tom anymore. He's gone. We don't need to talk about him. It's fine. Ricky's then going to win HOH. That's huge for him because it guarantees him a spot in the Final Four, and it also guarantees him a spot on me recapping his game because I know he's in the Final Four because they waited to play the veto so long. Why are they waiting to play the veto so long? I know that Ricky was desperate to be the person whose game I recapped first. So, big win for him there. Anyway, he solidifies his final 2 with Tamar. He tries to solidify one with Lolo, but like I said, just at the beginning of this update, Lolo's starting to get concerned that Ricky can beat her, and she's probably right about that. Probably, but who knows? Like I said, I do think that Ricky has played the best conventional game of Big Brother. Lolo has certainly played a bad one of both Big Brother and Celebrity Big Brother. But who knows? Who knows? So Lolo, she doesn't commit. She doesn't commit to Ricky, and this really says some bad things for Ricky. Ricky's like, if Lolo's not going to take me, that's not good. And he's going to start to consider, maybe we should take Lolo out before the Final Four. We don't know if that's going to happen yet. I don't usually have recaps of games before things go to the final. It's the Final 5. I haven't even had the veto for the Final 5 yet. And the feeds are dead. I know some people are like, hey, feeds always die toward the end of the game, which is 1, not true, and 2, not at Final 5. There's 5 people in this house. They should be doing something. But anyway, that's really where we land right now. Again, the story of Ricky is the story of Ricky Bobby is it's Ricky Bobby. The story of Ricky O is that he entered the game. He got a bad break at the start with how the alliances shook out. He took control of the game. He shattered this big alliance. He inserted himself with 2 fantastic allies who protected him no matter what and were more disliked than even he was. He then really just crushed his way through. He made his one massive error with really antagonizing Tom, who turned out to be a comp beast, which was a very bad thing. But overall, I do think, as I've said before, I think that Ricky is probably the best conventional Big Brother player on the season, maybe the 3rd best celebrity Big Brother player this season after Candy and Dina, because hey, they're doing jury management right. Ricky has started to do jury management right toward the end of the game. He's being more respectful. I think that maybe that's just innate, maybe that's not strategic, but Dina and Candy have done it better, and they do deserve to win over him. However, it is my opinion that that Ricky has played a better game and has done better jury management than Lolo and Tamar, and so if he is able to get to the end with either of them, he either likely will win or maybe should win, in my opinion. But if he doesn't win, then maybe he shouldn't have won, so we'll see. But basically, the way I'm looking at the votes right now, the way that I'm reading the social media, I do feel like Ricky has Tom's vote. I think that Ricky has Kato's vote over Tamar and Lolo, based on the tweets that they're liking and so on. So that's interesting to know. I do like the count in my head has Ricky beating both of them, but kind of by slim margins potentially. You never know. We're going to go over the jury votes in some detail on the roundtable tomorrow night. So that'll be interesting. We're going to have the form that's going to go out, and the audience is going to vote. So we're going to go over the potential final 2 scenarios and who can beat who. And so that'll be interesting. Susan wants to know, is Candy working on Tamar at all? Yes. They have talked a little bit about like, hey, final 2, right? Yeah, totally. But not a whole lot. Question, do you know if they had slop. Yes, they had slop pre-feeds. Jonathan was on slop. He mentioned that he was on slop. What was the point of it? I have no idea. No idea. Veto is going to happen at some point today. And then there will be a recap tonight, a recap episode, and then we will recap the recap after the recap tonight. And then tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we will have the roundtable, the final roundtable of the season. We will lock in our stock watch picks. We'll go over the jury votes and everything like that. Yeah. That's basically what I got for you. Any more questions, particularly if you have questions about Ricky or Ricky's game, or anything else, then let me know. Otherwise, we will start to wrap this one up here. Like I said, the feeds are just dead. Nothing. The feeds are so this is like record-breaking dead. Let me tell you, the discussion about the season is dead. The feeds are dead. Everything's dead. I'm just standing here by myself, literally right now, yelling about a season. Hopefully people are still watching me right now. Do I think Ricky can win if he doesn't own his game and acts like a coach with his honor and integrity, whereas if Tamar owns her game, people might respect that? It's certainly possible. Ricky can be a bit self-righteous, but Tamar is also somebody who doesn't really own the truth either. So I'm not sure. I think that Lolo is the one who's more likely to beat Ricky, because Lolo is more genuine with how she feels about things. She often feels in a way that's really bad and nasty, but she doesn't pretend. I don't know. It's kind of hard to think about that, but honestly, I feel like the jury's votes are probably fairly locked. But certainly, I don't think it's a kind of thing where Ricky is not capable of losing the votes. I think anybody, if they get to the final two, is capable of losing the votes to win based on their behavior, especially given the kind of people that they have played the game to be. Do you think the women made the right decision working with Ricky and turning on the guys? No, I don't. Do you think Ricky threw the color blast veto he said he did to Candy? He said he did. Did he? Probably not, but it doesn't ultimately matter. Who does Ricky win against at best? I think he has the best shot against Tamar. I think that Lolo is his second best shot, and I don't think he can beat Dina or Candy. Maybe he has a shot. No, I don't think he does. I think Dina or Candy beat any of the other three. Let's see here. Did Ricky deserve his Heisman over Cade McNown? I don't know how to pronounce that one. Yes, is my guess. Who has the best jury management at this point? Best jury management would go to Dina, followed by Candy, followed by Ricky, followed by Lolo, followed by Tamar, in my opinion. But we will likely get a more concrete answer to that when we see people in the final two. Why Dina? She's in rooms by herself talking about everyone that left. Jonathan, I loved you. Tom, I miss you, Tom. I really, I wish they didn't treat you the way that they did. I think that Candy is a more respected player, which could get her votes, but it's still a Candy versus Dina vote. I'm not sure what would happen. I actually kind of think Dina might take that one, so who knows? I think Heisman means something different to me, brother. All right. Does Ricky still want Candy gone over Dina? It's up in the air. I think Candy is really open, or I think Ricky is really open right now to any possibilities depending on what happens with the veto. So I don't think we're really going to know who goes home. I legitimately think anybody could go home right now, depending on what happens with the veto. Tamar is probably the safest, but that's just because she's the only one willing to promise Ricky that she'll take him to the final two. If Lolo starts promising things and they start thinking about how Tamar she has this connection with Candy. Who knows? They could definitely still decide they want Tamar out, but she's probably the safest at the moment. What did I think of this season of Sequester? It's a good question. I haven't watched it yet, but I heard it's very good, so I want to check it out. Stay tuned. I think that's all we got. Dina winning would be a sad win. I disagree. Like I said, I think Dina's probably the second best Celebrity Big Brother player on the season. For what it's worth. I've been saying that all season long. All right. There we go. That's what we've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the Ricky retrospective. And obviously, this is just my perspective on his game, what I saw throughout the season. As I said, probably the best conventional Big Brother player. He played the most strategically of anyone in the house. Is that enough to win the game? Who knows? But it's how I saw his game. I went through my notes and everything. So tomorrow, I will update you on everything that happens today on the live feeds. We'll hopefully get a chance to update you about who wins the veto and who's going to be going home, as well as potentially talking about some of the other players' games, especially once we know who's actually going to be in the Final Four. So there you go. Tune in tonight. Tune in tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in tomorrow night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern for the roundtable. And thank you. You can find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taryn. You can find me on Instagram, Taryn_Armstrong, where I post pictures of me and Suri Fields. Yeah. And yogurt. And you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taryn Armstrong. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this wonderful, lonely morning. I'll see you next time.